I'm really happy and excited today to be able to introduce two people that I think the world of and have actually completely changed my life for the better. And I want to thank you for that in every way possible. Johnnie and Alexa Turnage from Black Tech Saturdays. So we have an opportunity tonight to actually do a little bit of an interview with them. So Vipka was kind enough to give me the opportunity to be with them. So I was not one of the earliest supporters, but I was fairly early on in coming into Black Tech Saturday. So I've had an opportunity to watch this amazing organization go from something that was an amazing idea to something that's literally transforming the way that Detroit does business. And now not only Detroit, but outside of Detroit does business. And it's amazing to watch, and it's unique in our city. And if you don't know their story, please follow them. They're incredible. So, and again, so some of the questions that I was thinking about asking, and either one of you can respond to them. It's entirely up to you. Good. Alexa takes the microphone. I like that.
No, I wanted to say something really, really quickly before we get into the questions. We had a really large Black History Month summit with Google this past month. And Tim was one of our largest champions. I see some of our friends who attended, and it was just a really fun time. So we're really grateful for the Ann Arbor Spark community and Tim for just being a great champion and just helping us to bridge the gaps and just bring it all together as a state and as a community. So thank you. We appreciate you.
Thank you very much. Well, again, I appreciate you. So, and again, from the very first moment I walked in, and I told Doug it was his fault because he was the one that convinced me, and he said, "You got to go see this. These guys are amazing." And the difference for me was going from like a 110 electric outlet to a 220. The energy is amazing. So some of the things so I was curious that you could tell us about the moment that you knew that Black Tech Saturdays was really changing from that idea into a reality, and how you executed on that, because that's what founders do, right? You have an idea, so you guys are the ultimate founders in this sense. You've grown this and scaled it incredibly. And did you have an intentional plan, or was it more organic through community?
So I guess I have the mic. I'll start off. It's really hard to follow Alexa, so this is better. So two things. One, my name is Johnnie Turnage. I'm from the east side of Detroit. I'm also an Army brat and moved a lot of places. And I always tell that story because it's important, because that means I've had to forcibly build community because I have no sense of direction. So everywhere I go, I had to talk to everybody. And when I first jumped into tech, I didn't know Michigan had such a big tech ecosystem. And it was 2022 at Michigan Tech Week when I realized, I was like, oh, a lot more founders in Detroit. There are actually a lot more people here. And like founders do, we huddle together for warmth. So it's 2023. We're at that building, New Lab in Michigan Central. It's under construction, and I honestly have no idea what it actually is. Me and Darren are just working together on products, talking about how to go after fundraising. Just here, I'm like, oh, here's grants. Here's what you should say. And from doing that, people kept saying, oh, I want to join, I want to join. So one day we said, oh, let's open it up. And this is why it's really important, if you don't have a partner and you're thinking about it, or a love interest, just marry smart. Because the very first Black Tech Saturdays, before we open it up, I was like, oh yeah, I'll just post on LinkedIn, hey, we'll have some pizza, come do some tech stuff with us Saturday. And my wife says, no, you need to make a graphic. There should be clear details. There should be a sign up, there should be registration. You can't just throw it out there. And I was like, I don't know. I really wanted to get this up at 2 o'clock. Her making that graphic, I think we always say it was like sending a bat signal. Because at first, when we started Black Tech Saturdays, we honestly thought we were going to be a group of blurs. Because up until then, it was like 5-10 people meeting up 3-4 hours on a Saturday, like, oh, you're working on this, I'll work on this with you. And I'm bad at some things, people are good at other things. So sharing development skills, sharing how to go after fundraising, really just working together on a Saturday. When we opened it up, that very first one, we had about 20-30 people come, but it wasn't just the number of people, it was what they did. We met founders we had never heard of, organizations that were represented, someone from the DoD, investors, and we're like, Marvin was actually, somewhere in the back, Marvin was at the very, very first BTS. And Donovan soon after. Yeah. And so when we had that, when I remember Black Tech Saturday is kind of surprised, we're like, all right, this isn't going to be a group of blurs. Sorry, nerds. Just gathered in. And before the next BTS, I was like, I think we need to think about this. And one night, Alexa and I left the office. We had dinner, and we came back, and we worked really, really late into the evening. And we wrote out a calendar. In 2023, each month had a different theme. And the goal was, if founders can learn how to do storytelling, if they can do some strategic planning, they figure out how do you navigate some of this stakeholder management and a couple like hard skills. By Michigan Tech Week, there's going to be this big tech week of all this energy. Tech Week that year was in Ann Arbor. Founders should be more prepared to take advantage of the fact that Ann Arbor and Detroit are coming together. And so that was our initial hypothesis. Like, people should have better outcomes if this happens. But BTS kept growing. And by week 3, we realized this is going to be different. There are 100 people here. We've run out of food. It's time to go back to the drawing board because it's so much bigger. And so it was a mix of both very organic, coming together. How can we support each other? Early on, the main focus was, how do we help each other get further, faster together? And in those early groups, it was like, we're going to repost each other on LinkedIn. Before LinkedIn got complicated, we used to be able to tag everybody in the picture. Then they started like deleting our posts when we did that. So we're like, how do we keep this community connected? And it started to happen very organically. And we spun up BTS social media, which, a part of the name, we were joking about the name, but it was actually available on all platforms. Nobody had taken Black Tech Saturday, so we're like, this must be a sign. Let's run with it, and it grew from there.
Yeah. Johnny pretty much summed it up, but yeah, it definitely happened organically. When people come together and they're able to grow together and just kind of pull from a garden and learn, what is a data room? What is pre-seed? What is all these things that sometimes these terms can, be kind of confusing. It was really, really special. And that's what we're really just grateful for. It grew so organically. And Black Tech Saturdays is an inclusive space. It's not just about Black people coming together, but about everyone who needs this information, and communities and founders coming together to learn together. So that was just the really, really special part about it. But starting in Detroit, and then we expanded to Baltimore, and we went to New York and Houston and Miami. And so we've been really being able to go around the country and just see what our founders are struggling with and how we can be most helpful.
That was awesome. So, I mean, so a lot of it was intentional, but then you kind of flowed with the community as the community needs grew. And so this is more of the fun part. And what's really awesome for me to watch, and you guys are unique in a great way, is that you're a really powerful, married couple coming into this together. And, I know from past experiences in working with a former spouse that it didn't go very well, which is why she's a former spouse. But in that respect, so there's a lot of challenges that we focus on. And how do you guys keep? I mean, your love is awesome. I love it when Johnny's always doing these amazing posts on LinkedIn. But as far as, how do you guys not talk about work all the time, or do you? And is that just a passion that fuels you?
Oh, that's really fun. Not only are we married and work together, Johnny and I are still newlyweds. We haven't even been married, 5 years? Maybe 4 years. Yeah, so we've been kind of rocking and rolling. But I think as soon as we got married here, I was like, whoa, Johnny, this is a lot happening. But I think one of the most important parts about our partnership, Johnny and I were friends for about 7 or 8 years before we even started dating. Truly platonic friends. We met on a plane in what year? 2014. Johnny was sitting next to me on the airplane. He didn't say one word to me the whole flight. We were landing and I said, oh, hey. He's like, oh, hey. I'm like, nice to meet you. And so, I gave him my email address. And I was like, yeah. And then we started, and we were true friends. Like, we just started hanging out and we found out that we had similar interests, but we built a really, really solid foundation. Mm-hmm. I don't think we were thinking about dating, honestly. We were just really, really good friends. And so I think any partnership, sometimes you just got to give it time to lay that groundwork, and then it's blossomed into what it is now. And we have that trust and that, bond between us. But it started off as just a true friendship that we could both enjoy.
Yeah, I'll add to it. So one, I definitely was in love with Alexa very early on. But I'm a tiny bit younger, so she was like, it's a crush, it's going to pass. But a part of Rebalance is we really started to date during the pandemic. And even during then, we had to actually learn to work together because Alexa's family was COVID locked down. So I could only see her by coming into her driveway. So we had to organize every part of her life leading into the dating, that when it came time to work together, there was a point where I was like, I'm probably going to need some help. But if I'm being really honest, we work well together. So why don't we just try this out? And in a few months, if we like it, we'll keep going. And if not, no harm, no foul. And some of our journey, before we got married, we did a lot of premarital counseling. And a part of it was, look, it's got to be an adventure. We're going to have to try things, and they might work and they might not. But at least we can grow together, and we learn if we don't grow together, we'll grow apart. And so we always constantly try to do that. We during the pandemic, it was on Tuesdays. Now we do a weekly staff meeting, so to speak. It's just husband and wife. On Sundays, we spend about 90 minutes just talking about life, whatever's top of mind, giving us a space for it to be work, for it to be whatever, and enough time to say, is this too much or too little? And I think that culture we've actually poured into our team. So now we have like team meetings where we go, let's just check in. I know I gave you like 15 things to do yesterday. Is that okay? How are you feeling? This is a safe space. And so we've been able to take this teamwork culture into our team to say, how do we keep some of that going and pause and do those things? And the next step, and the kind of last piece, which is most important, is we stay in our lanes. There are Alexa genius zones that I am not allowed to touch. Even if I come into the room when that team's meeting, it's her word. And if someone asks me externally, I'm like, oh, that's an Alexa area. And so by owning like lanes, we just don't cross them, and that works. And even when we first started to work together, we changed the power dynamics of how we balance money in life. I'm like, oh, if we're going to do a business, some business decisions I hold more support over. Alexa holds all of our like family money. So I have to ask my wife for any. So it just, we really balance power dynamics in all levels to make sure, hey, how do we keep doing this? And it means that like we have to be nice to each other, because one person can say no to something that you might really need. And those things have helped us, I think, keep navigating forward.
So going through some good conflict resolution for sure, to say the least. And so this is it's been really awesome, kind of changing gears a little bit to see how, since you guys have grown, how the community, some of the larger, institutions and entities have gotten behind you. Some credit unions, sit on the board of a credit union, and exactly, and also things like, you've got now obviously the Gilbert Family Foundation and some really strong support from some people like there. So those are the people that we see now, but who are some of the earlier people that started you, helping you in the beginning, that were like this and just helped you along the way?
That's a really good question. Like Johnny said, when we were sitting at Boss Blue downtown, I was like, Johnny, let me just make you a quick little something. Canva is our friend. I can make you this graphic. And we're thinking about starting Black Tech Saturdays. Actually, the Song Foundation was one of our first supporters to really say, hey, we're going to support this and really lean in to see, what's possible. Let's just give it a try and see what we can do. And so the Song Foundation and New Lab in Michigan Central were really supportive of us in the beginning to see, I think, what was possible. Yeah, and Venture 313 as well.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Do you want to add anything to that, Jenny? Are you good?
Honestly, sometimes the unsung heroes in the beginning, because BTS grew very fast. Alexa and I used to stack the chairs, serve the food, do check-in, and we were like, there are actually far too many jobs. We can't do this and speak up front. So it's our family, our parents. My mom actually came and stayed with us the whole month of like June and a part of July. When we started, we're like, things are growing and we need to just figure it out. Alexa's parents, you can catch them probably at every BTS. We brought in a lot of family members like, let's just help us, because when you're a startup and you're trying to figure out what do we need, I actually don't have a lot of money to like burn here. We just ask family members like, do this role so we can build a process around it to figure out how we work. So a lot of family support, a lot of the BTS volunteers. There are people here who by like week 4, I'm like, so we're gonna need people to help put out chairs. Does anyone want to come early? We're gonna need people to help. And I'm like, it was the community effort of, we grab a chair, we help. If somebody needs to run the program, we're like, hey, so you're going to stand at this laptop and do this. And it was just that all of us can do different things. And even the programming for speakers, we just like, hey, who do you want to be here? It's why so much of our motto when we have our bigger events, we usually just ask the community, are you interested in speaking? Of course, we'll add programming, but there are people who have a lot to bring to the table. And sometimes you just have to give them the room to be invited.
Awesome. And so I want to give an opportunity for a shout out for this Saturday too, because I'm very excited about the event. And by the way, anybody, as he was talking, as Johnny was saying, for volunteering with Black Tech Saturdays is one of the coolest and most awesome things that you can do. And I love doing it because you get to see how this all comes together. And there's a real community vibe. So it's all about, it is this community. We help each other. We celebrate each other's successes. And so let's do, take an opportunity for the moonshot, right? So you guys have been building this now into a fact where it's a really powerful and strong organization and a lot of eyeballs around this. So 5 years from now, You know, I mean, if you can even think that far, I mean, and obviously planning along the way, where would you see Black Tech Saturdays being?
So one, my background's in community organizing. As an organizer, your job is to organize your way out of a job. We're going to do a lot of leadership training. BTS, in some weeks, we will get to 1,000 or more people, and I think what a future looks like for BTS is much more decentralized. We're doing some things to make it easier to do chapters, to help people organize their own meetups, and we've even used some of our grant dollars now to pilot how do we let people like identify very focused groups. So if you're a fintech, let's just have a fintech meetup and support them coming together. There's a developer group we've been helping nurture. I think there's some very issue focused, like very industry focused things to help people get together, because a part of this is when you're on this journey, you just need to find your tribe the fastest. And so streamlining that, one of the things that BTS has been really proud of is people do business together. And so we are working on some things to make it easier for that marketplace effect and have a stronger circular economy. Plus, in entrepreneurship, most of us get by on freelancing. And so we're putting together a freelance platform to make it easier so we can work together. And you know, most of my founder friends, that's how you stay afloat. Until you get to that milestone, you need money to pay yourself. So making that easier, we are, I can share it. We're in the process of building some kind of upskilling certificates that are better for where we think the environment needs, but also shorter. I can admit as a founder, I didn't spend a lot of time in extended cohorts, those times that felt like it wasn't there. And so we were talking with some partners at U of M about a 3-week kind of cert to help people on sprints for skills. And the last piece is one of the things that we've been like really helpful for is we can put a jetpack on people. And so we are fine tuning some mechanics to make us function as more of an amplification platform to highlight founders where they're going and do some mass education on what's next in tech, whether it's education, because everything that happened with the Department of Education, not to get political, driving me crazy, but we have to make it easier to fast track education for people, as well as there are all these cool things happening in tech that people don't get to see. And we still run our social media with like an intern who works 2 days a week, but our Instagram sees about 1 million accounts a month, and our LinkedIn is about 300 to 400,000. And so taking that to make sure we can share it, to put a bigger spotlight on what's happening here and make it easier. So we've got some cool automations we've tested out, and soon here you're going to see a lot of different things.
Cool. And for the International Women's Day, you want to talk about that?
Yes. So this Saturday, in a few days here, we're going to be kicking off at College for Creative Studies downtown, our Women's History Month celebration.
Woo! Yeah.
We have about, really exciting. What's most exciting, we have about 60 women tech entrepreneurs, tech founders and entrepreneurs coming to teach us about AI, technology, and their area of expertise. We have people flying in from around the whole country just to teach and kind of nurture and water our garden of founders. And so it's going to be kicking off at 12 o'clock this Saturday. We start our media sprint in the morning at 4 a.m. at the news station to inform and educate everybody about what's happening. But it's going to be really, really fun. So if you're free on Saturday, downtown in the area, you want to just come and hang out, just come and see if you've never been, just to come and dip your little big toe in that water. Just come and check it out. College for Creative Studies at noon on Saturday.
Sorry, I also am in the lead process. So from 12 to 4, there are going to be multiple workshops you could choose from. 12 to 1 is a wellness hour, so flexible. Official start time is 1, but at 1 o'clock there'll be 30-minute sessions, and you have 8 different options. The schedule is on our website if you go to blacktechsaturdays.com, and you can see all the speakers in the workshops. I think the themes this year are tech, beauty, wellness, and there's a 4th thing. It's probably AI. It must be AI. But the exciting part about that is we did the Women's Founder Takeover for the first time last year. It was the biggest individual BTS event we had. We are currently on track to probably blow that out of the water, but it's a huge opportunity to highlight not only women entrepreneurs, but to change the dynamics. We can learn a few things, and it's going to be pretty fun. And there's going to be lots of pictures.
There's always lots of pictures.
So allow me to say again, thank you to Johnnie and Alexa for everything that they've done.
So thank you very, very, very much. And it's now my honor to present you with, whoops.
Right.
with this with the Community Champion Award. So I guess it's Smile. Of course.
Yes, like that, Vika. Like that. There you go.
Yeah, so I can do that.
Thank you.
So I will be there on Saturday, and I hope that we will have the opportunity to continue our conversation.
Yes.
I will definitely try to find you.
We'll be around. Yes, yes.
No doubt about that.
Find him. He'll find us.
Yes, yes, yes. We will talk about that. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for coming out here.